Can the Sony A80J 2021 TV still stack up against the 2022 LG C2? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your answer on what you think. Now, I will reveal which is which in a second to you, but first I want to tell you how I filmed this. So I did have to film this separately for this video, otherwise I wasn't going to be able to fit everything in the frame. So I put them side by side in post, didn't change anything else. The only thing that you see changed is the alignment so that they can be side by side on this video. Alright, before we begin, the product links for all the TVs I'm talking about in this video will be in the description below. Also, if you guys are using those links, it does help out the channel, so thank you so much. As of filming this video today, you're looking at a price difference between $700 and $900 depending on what size you end up getting. The A80J is significantly cheaper, and if you're somebody who wants the LG OLED, you're probably going to want to lean towards the C1 and then make your decision between the C1 and the A80J. Really, when it comes down to it, I'm going to tell you guys right now that the LG C2 isn't much of an improvement over the LG C1, other than a few different factors like dynamic tone mapping. That's improved on the C2, and also when you're talking about image clarity, it's a little bit improved on the C2, though it's still not to Sony's level, which I think you should see in this side by side. Now, one thing that I really want to point out about LG OLEDs versus the A80J, when I see it side by side, doesn't matter if it's the C2, doesn't matter if it's the C1, the LG OLEDs definitely push red more. It prefers to push the red, and in order to get to match the color on the Sony, you have to push up the color and use live color to make a difference. Now, I don't care if it's inaccurate or accurate, whatever. I'm just telling you that's what you're going to have to do to match the color if that's what you want to do. And for me, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. If you have a personal preference, whether that's a preference style or a reference style, that's your thing, and you can fix your TV based on that however you want to fix it. So yeah, the C2 is inaccurate out of the box, but I think most people won't really care about that. But if you want to pump up that A80J, pump it up, because it does look good either way. Whatever you prefer at the end of the day, right? All right, moving forward, we have to talk about image clarity, because the C2 has gotten a lot better than the C1 was last year, though I don't think it's quite on the level of the Sony A80J just yet. I think that LG still needs to go back to the drawing board and work a little bit harder with the processing, because as of right now, the Sony processing is just better. It's better for giving you highlights. It's better for giving you the image clarity. It's just going to be better at upscaling overall as well. And even the stuff that you wouldn't think needs upscaling, it does a really good job of upscaling that. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're talking about the image that you're getting is usually over streaming or something that has been heavily compressed, that's something you have to keep in mind. This is not a true 4K image. Most of the time, you're not even getting a native 4K image. You're getting a lot of this stuff upscaled, or you're getting a lot of this stuff heavily compressed. Now, I want you to think about how much TV and movies you watch over the internet. Like, what are you streaming these days? For me, it's a lot of movies and TV shows. I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same as well. I know there is still some people who are just diehard, go to the physical media, and that's what you get. But you're still getting advantage there too with the Sony, because like I said, a lot of this stuff is just getting upscaled very well. And with a thing like reality creation, which I do have on for this example on auto, and that's fair because that's what it's on when you have it on custom. And I think that that's where you can see a big advantage. I'm not going to disable a TV's advantage. I'm not going to do that. Just like I don't nerf the brightness when I compare LCD TVs, I'm not going to turn off reality creation. And I don't know why you would, because it works really well and it doesn't really produce artifacts unless you really crank it. So yeah, this is something I value a lot. I talk about processing a lot. I talk about image clarity a lot, because I think this is something that's very undervalued and people don't really understand how good it is when it is done right. Oftentimes you'll see a TV try to do a little bit too much with processing, and then it gets that over sharpened look and it starts to show a little bit of artifacts. You're not getting that here with Sony. You're not, unless you're pumping up your reality creation to a really ridiculous amount. So yeah, image clarity matters a lot. This is not something you can test on patterns. This is not something that you can just put in a ratings test. This matters when you put them side by side and you look at what the differences are, and then you just look which one looks clearer to your eyes. That's it. End of discussion. I mean, like, you just use your eyes. And at that point, when it's that clear to me, and I see the differences between the S95B and the C2 and then the A80J and the C2, to me, that feels like LG's just not doing enough on the image processing side of things in terms of image clarity. All right, here, so we're gonna move on to some screen caps of these two TVs side by side. I've froze on this one because even though it is a picture of bread, you can see some of the image clarity difference, right? Yes, it is just bread again, but look close and you can see so many different details and differences between these two TVs and the way that they're handling the image. And so we're getting better processing and better image clarity and better highlights. Just look at where the highlights are on the A80J and compare that to how it looks on the C2. Now, to me, I think this is a big difference when it is side by side. All right, moving on to this next image, you can see these leaves, and on the C2, it does look like it's overly red again. Almost like there's only a few shades of color here, but on the A80J, you just see more shades of color. It's just way more balanced image overall. And to me, that's really clear. So let's go to this next example here. All right, another example of the XR processor kind of working overtime. I don't know which image you guys prefer. Tell me in the comments below. Do you like the A80J here or do you like the C2? Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion on this because I think maybe this image will divide some opinions. This is one of the examples you'll see when the TVs side by side. You'll notice that there's just a different feeling for the image on both TVs, and there's no wrong or right way to do it. Some people will prefer the left image more and some people will prefer the right image more. I happen to be more in the right camp, which is why I like the Sony A80J and the A90J last year so much better than the LG TVs. Now they're basically using the same panel if you're thinking about that. I think actually the EX panel on the C2 is more advanced than the panel on the A80J, which is one of the WBE panels from last year. Now, you would think that it would be very close, but it's actually not because the difference is not in the panel itself. It's more so the processing and the color science of each company and what they choose to do with the image itself. So that has to be a big factor into your decision whether or not you get an LG OLED or a Sony OLED. So when it comes down to it, everything between these two TVs kind of are different. Like they handle everything a little bit differently. Even handle the way they game differently. So that's something you'll also have to keep in mind if you're getting one of these TVs for gaming. They both do it differently. They both have their downsides and they both have their pluses. I will probably end up doing a video breaking down these differences separately because I can't fit it all into this video. I'm not even going to try to. Alright, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Consider subscribing to see more side-by-sides and TV reviews all year long. If you want to see how these TVs do up against the QD OLEDs, make sure you click one of these videos right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.